I'm Irving, and I'm an Adamaniac. Last time, Joker and Catwoman had teamed up to find 1 million pounds of gunpowder, with which they intend to blow a big hole in the federal depository, drive in with a big truck, and drive out with all the money. All they have to do is find the gunpowder, which involves stealing a nightshirt, while the guy was wearing it, and a baby cradle. This has to be a true story. It's way too crazy to be fiction.
Or will we get in touch with you, Batgirl, in case we find some more clues?
Where can I get in touch with you, Batman?
Yes, that has been a problem.
Commissioner Gordon. She knows his number, and he has the red phone. She can call him, he can call Batman. If Batman needs to contact her, he can leave a message with Gordon, and she can check in periodically. Problem solved. The boys take off in the Batmobile, while Batgirl discovers her Batgirl cycle won't start.
Looking for something, Batgirl?
Like this spark plug, perhaps?
Should she be holding that?
It's fortunate that the turbo engine on her cycle uses a radioactive spark plug.
If it's still radioactive, it might not be too healthy to carry it around like that. The henchmen grab Batgirl and tie her up with some thin white strands.
Won't she break through that thin twine, Catwoman?
I think not, Joker. Those cat's whiskers, a fiendish invention of mine. They automatically contract when placed in close contact with the heat of the body. So in seconds, Batgirl will be strangled to death.
They head off to plan their next move because it's against the rules for the villain to stay around to see how the hero escapes. A lot of my friends were wishing there were that button along about then.
Free at last, as the sprinkling system has caused the cat whiskers to expand rather than contract.
Yes, we get it. We didn't need the narration. Body heat makes it contract, cold makes it expand. She goes back in Katz's place, presumably to use the phone to order a new radioactive spark plug. Good thing they're so readily available.
Both look a trifle harassed, sir, if I may say so. Perhaps this snack will help.
No, thank you, Alfred. You know I never mix crime fighting with eating.
Then you're an idiot. An undernourished brain can't think as clearly as one that's been properly fed. You should know that.
Besides, I don't think it'll help us solve our problem with Catwoman and Joker.
I can force myself to take a bite.
At least Robin has some common sense. I cannot believe I said that.
Batgirl just called me, Batman. She wants you to meet her at the intersection of Cattail Lane and Nine Lives Alley as soon as possible.
That's just behind the Novelty Manufacturing Center of Gotham City.
She's holding on the other phone. Shall I tell her you'll be there?
By all means, Commissioner.
I told you that was the way to do it. Why am I not surprised that she figured it out before he did?
Cattail Lane, Nine Lives Alley. The Grimalkin Novelty Company is on that corner.
Grimalkin? What kind of a name is that?
An obscure but nevertheless acceptable synonym for cat.
The dictionary I consulted said it means a cat, especially in reference to its distinctly feline qualities. It also means a spiteful old woman. Except for the old part, I think Catwoman fits both definitions. At the Grimalkin Company, Catwoman is explaining that the shape of the nightshirt is a map to the starting point for finding the gunpowder.
This is a chart of Phony Island, located on the southern tip of Gotham City.
I assume it doesn't include the Phony Island amusement park, which probably wasn't there 200 years ago.
To find the exact location, we must look at the crib. It's written backwards and in French.
Not just French, 18th century French. A lot can change in a language in 200 years, especially when you throw a revolution into the mix. But she knows enough of it to decipher the inscription.
From X on the map, walk 50 meters north, then 50 feet right. Then try to find the wrong stone.
Why did he mix feet and meters? And were they the same length 200 years ago in France? The poem subtly said to reverse all that, so with the information in hand, they get ready to head off to Phony Island. But they're being watched from across the street.
How about rushing the place, Batman?
I think not, Robin. All they've done so far is stolen a few items, attempted to kill you, me, and Batgirl. No, I think they planned something really big.
Yeah, 3 counts of attempted murder is hardly worth bothering with. Let's go get that sandwich Alfred offered us.
They're getting away.
No, Robin, I've adjusted the radar on the Batmobile to allow us to trace them. By tuning in on the sonic emanations from their motor, we'll be able to stay up to 5 miles behind them and still know precisely where they are.
Do you ever get the feeling he never tracks someone the same way twice just to prove he can do it lots of different ways?
We'll stay out of sight until they reach their destination. Then and only then will we pounce on them. To the Batmobile.
What about my Batgirl cycle? It's hidden around the corner.
We'll pick it up later, Batgirl. It'll be much faster if we all go together.
Cozy.
She's been flirting with him like that off and on since the beginning. I'm really glad the writers never took it any further than that. Outside the Phony Island lighthouse, Laffer found the X.
Good. From here on in, it should be a piece of cake. Now, 50 meters south and 50 feet left.
For being 200 years old, that X is really well preserved. Their pacing takes them straight toward the lighthouse.
You know, the only trouble with keeping this lighthouse, Mr. Keeper, is that there isn't enough for a lighthouse keeper to keep keeping.
Mrs. Keeper, I'm the lighthouse keeper. You just keep the lighthouse clean.
Clean? All I do is vacuum the upstairs bedroom. What kind of a life is that for a stylish, attractive, sophisticated, intelligent woman?
Both of these folks were basically bit part actors. He was one of Joker's henchmen in season 2. The best thing about these two, they really were married. He's been following the group's progress in his telescope.
48, 49, 50. Now, 50 feet left. 1, 2.
Those are some really big feet. I mean, she's stepping off 50 feet with the same stride she used for 50 meters. As a result, she led him right off a cliff into the ocean.
7, 48, 49, 50. Should be around here somewhere, unless I counted wrong.
Maybe feet were smaller in those days.
They were definitely smaller than the steps she was taking. The henchman found something upstairs.
I am the lighthouse keeper. This is my Mrs. Keeper. And this is private property.
A lighthouse? Private property?
Well, private public property. It means you keep off.
I think we've heard enough. Let's get them.
3 counts of attempted murder, no big deal. Trespassing? Now they've gone too far. Let's get them.
Unhand those two helpless people.
Look! There it is! The gunpowder! It's all clearly marked!
Gunpowder?
Put that mash out, you fool!
Why did Joker do that? This isn't the Federal Depository.
Stay calm, everybody.
I assume we're all prepared to meet our Creator because there's no way we can get clear of a blast this size in time. Let us pray.
Stay calm, everyone.
Holy return from oblivion. We're still alive.
Yes, Robin, still alive. In the split second before the actual detonation of the gunpowder, I was able to infuse this one room with anti-blast bat powder.
Sometimes it's almost painful.
I want benefit of counsel.
That's certainly your privilege, Catwoman.
Can I make my one phone call?
Just don't try any of your old tricks.
Who are you calling?
Lucky Pierre, the world's greatest and luckiest criminal attorney.
Lucky Pierre, she says, has never lost a case.
Quel est le problème, femme chat?
Batman just caught Joker and me in the middle of a robbery.
Difficult, but not insurmountable for Lucky Pierre. Now be still. And don't utter a meow. I'll see you in court. And if all goes well, knock on wood, I'll have you sprung before Pussy Willow time.
His name really was Pierre. Pierre Salinger, to be exact. He only did a little acting and spent the bulk of his life in politics, but he sure pulled off this guy. Oh, and he really was nicknamed Lucky Pierre. And considering he was a strong Democrat, having been press secretary to both JFK and Lyndon Johnson, the photo of Nixon on the desk is a nice touch.
To beat this rap, you'd have to bribe every citizen of Gotham City. And that takes dough. Real dough.
Has the jury been chosen yet?
Batman's in the anteroom interviewing them now.
Batman!
Yeah, Batman. Because of his familiarity with the case, the DA has allowed him to handle the prosecution.
Because besides everything else, he's a lawyer. Didn't you know that? Batman starts his prosecution.
Gentlemen of the jury, we are gathered here today to prove that Catwoman, Joker, and their men are guilty of several major offenses, to wit, robbery, attempted murder.
Why does the judge look like he didn't know?
Assault and battery, mayhem, and overtime parking.
Not overtime parking. What has the city come to? He calls Little Louie Groovy, Carnaby Cats, and the Keepers to testify about what the gang did to them. Pierre does nothing. He says no cross-examination and goes back to doodling on his notepad. Best anybody can tell, they're paying him to sit there and smoke his cigar. Batman gives his summation of the evidence and calls for convictions.
In the interests of law, order, justice, good fellowship, and the flag.
Don't forget Mom, apple pie, and the girl you left behind. Pierre says, I'm good, no summation. The trial is over and he's done exactly nothing.
Jury's ordered to the jury room for deliberation.
No need for that, Your Honor. We have already made up our minds. We find the defendants, Catwoman, Joker, Giggler, Laughter, Smiley, and Gus, not guilty of any of the charges.
Yeah. And it worked. None of this makes sense.
There's something very catfishy about this whole thing, Batman.
I think it's a fix.
That's the way the law is, Robin. They've received a fair trial and been adjudged not guilty. Every man is entitled to his day in court. We must abide by the jury's decision.
Excuse me? If that was a fair trial, Mickey Mouse is an Australian wombat. Batman is not on his game this episode. The judge is beyond appalled and rips into the jury about this travesty.
Ah, stow it, Judge. The case is over. Quit flapping your yap.
Hey, that's no Foreman. That's Marvin the Moose. He used to work with Catwoman.
And that second fellow is Dave the Dummy. He's also worked with Catwoman.
You interviewed the jurors, Batman. You didn't recognize them? Or are these different jurors than the ones you interviewed and you're such a great detective you didn't notice? And by the way, if that guy isn't in a cell for contempt of court in the next 15 seconds, I want to know why.
Your Honor, I move for a new trial.
On which of several grounds?
On the grounds of a prejudicial jury.
You don't know how prejudicial, Batman. All right, now.
Oh, that's why. We have to beat him to a pulp first. At least Batman and company won't have to deal with those guys. I think a pair of nameless bailiffs just saved everyone's butts. What is it and what do I do with it, Commissioner? It's called a woman, Chief, and I'm not sure what you do with it. I did my bit, and now I split. Despite their best efforts, Gordon and O'Hara managed to hang on to Catwoman and keep her out of the fight while the three bats wrap things up. Bowling for bad guys. We have to do it once in a while because, trust me, the audience loves it. Batman is still trying to explain to Catwoman that she can never escape the law.
You'll never succeed in circumventing justice, Catwoman.
Not as long as honest and dedicated law enforcers have a breath left.
Oh, forget the morals. Just get us back to jail so we don't have to listen to these corny jokes.
Forget it, Joker. He's just getting warmed up.
But morals are the stuff men are made of. And until criminals learn that, our job will not be done. However, if and when they do, we'll be only too ready to hang up our capes and cowls.
It just makes you want to run out and hug an eagle, doesn't it? Back in Gordon's office, he even has some left over for Lucky Pierre.
If he hadn't gone so wrong, he might have had a fine career in politics. Won a gubernatorial race, the White House even.
I guess it just wasn't in the books.
I hope he was also a good sport. Then again, he did have that picture of Nixon. Meanwhile, at the library...
Louis the Lilac, what are you doing here? What are you doing with that boutonniere? I remember the time you stunned my friend Princess Primrose with an invisible knockout spray.
This is not an invisible knockout spray, Miss Gordon. It is essence of lilacs. A scent which I intend to corner the perfume market of Gotham City.
Boy, there's a Batman-level threat. If he takes over the perfume market, he might... How is that a threat again? You can bet that's not all he's up to, but we'll have to wait till next time to find out what he's got up his boutonniere. I'm Irving, and I'm an Adamaniac.
Quit flapping your yap.